Hello and welcome to the Mondovi line. This is the 2025 December end of year layout update. Looking at Mondovi, Oliva, on this side of the peninsula, Strum, and Osseo. So here's a layout map overview that I made a couple of years ago. The more I looked at it, the more I see what's changed as we went. We're going to start over here in staging, and we're going to look right where my pointer is at. Okay, the main change for staging is I built this really nice 5-drawer rolling stock cabinet in a box that slid right on the shelf below staging. We have to make use of all the room possible, so we have storage underneath the entire layout at every spot of the layout. Each drawer will hold 50 pieces of rolling stock, approximately, some a little more, some a little less, depending on the sizes. These are obviously all 40-foot box cars. Usually if I have 50 feet box cars, I put a row on one end. And I don't put them too far down in the back because they're hard to get to. But this is really made organizing and blocking the trains and staging nice and easy. Okay, when we leave staging and get around here, right here on this angle now is a highway overpass. And so this is the unscenic part of the layout, which you can see here, where all the locomotives are hanging out. And I've started the scenery right here now in the overpass, and we'll take a look at that. On the staging side of the overpass, I just put every tree that I had made so far and just kind of filled it in as a nice view block, because it makes for some good camera angles. And the washer and dryer that's playing in the background right now, hear that? You can't really see those in certain views now. And here is the overpass that I put in. It's just sitting there right now. It's just a Rick's overpass, and a billboard in the background I added. There's a hobo scene down there underneath the overpass, and Mr. Bigfoot gets around on the layout. Then coming into Osseo last year, I had started a scene here for a speed shop. So this is a, I can't remember the name of the company that makes them. Innovative, JL Innovative. I had that kit for decades sitting in the box, so I built that. And I think this is a Foss kit. And that in the background might be a Bar Mills kit. And I just built the speed shop here, named it after my younger brother, who is a car guy. And it's just a nice non-rail serve scene when you come in. And when I say come in, I mean you come around the speed shop and you come into Osseo. So this is in the next room over from the layout, and I built a wall here that comes 2/3 of the way down the room, and you come around this curve into Osseo. So this is a wall here, and this here is about 14 feet long. All right, coming into Osseo from staging, you come around the bend, you pass the canning company and the potato warehouse and the stockyard, and over here we have Standard Oil, West Street, United Milk Products, which is a condensery, elevator and depot. Now, not much has changed except for scenery and detailing in Osseo. This was the second part of the layout that was completed and doing operations on. And this would be Highway 10, the far side of town, with a lumber yard and a diner. And this is where scenery ended last year, right at the road here. So we continued the diner scene, and I scenic that and put in the tower, built an American Model Builders AMB Berkshire Valley farmhouse, and put that in the corner. And if you remember from last year's update, I had a problem with the backdrop in the corner. It was all bubbled, so I sliced it down and pressed it up against the masonite, and then made some very tall pine trees to cover it up. And then there's the coal dealer, and threw a couple of lifelike trees I found in a box for now back there, and added this fence around here. So this is the end of Osseo. So again, we just went through Osseo. None of this here was scenic last year. This whole side of the peninsula and this curve up to the highway right here. So around this curve now, you see I have just a blank. This is a farm now. We have a farm here, and this is the mill, which is actually twice the size as what I put in there. And we have a scenic hill and trees back here. Now, in my original plan, we have the mill coming off this little spur here, and it really wasn't enough room, so we changed it around so we actually flip front to back strum and have a long spur going down here now, ending at the farm. Let's go take a look at that. Okay, as we come out of Osseo, I put a tree block in here, view block, so the train, when you're operating, sometimes because of the short distance between towns, I don't want the train to be visible in two towns at once. So I kind of hide it behind the view block, and I built this farm here. This is another American Model Builders from Berkshire Valley Hobbies, and JTT corn. And I think the elevator, or the silo, I got that off of eBay, I believe. It was a 3D printed silo. I might have to find another one and put two of them here. I think it looked nice. This field is, I think, by Knock, German company, I think, that I found those at a hobby shop. And then I built a hill in the background, added more trees, and there's a cabin I put back there, and some mini prints, deer. And as you come around the bend, I hide the train behind the mill. So I built this mill here, which is kind of scratch built from a article in a 1950s model railroader. This actually was in Wales, Wisconsin, outside of Milwaukee, but I built it and moved it up to Strum. And we have nice siding here. So let's take another look at the map and we'll see where we are. So Strum is on this side of the peninsula. There's a 18-inch tall backdrop down the center. None of this was scenic last year from here all the way around. So we are scenic down to just where the mushroom area of the end of the peninsula starts. Okay, so like I said, this was just bare foam. So we are scenic down the length of Strum now. Got a little temporary Christmas tree loading scene going on there. We have T.M. Olson feed mill and the Cargill mill here. And the depot I built, which is from HRM, Hidden River Models, a gentleman out of Wisconsin who makes fantastic depot kits. And then we have 5th Street that runs through Strum. We have the team track. This here is, I believe it's a JL Innovative icing house kit that I modified. It was going to be a mill, now it's a coal elevator as part of the lumberyard complex in Strum. And that there is called a transfer building, which was made by American Model Builders, and it's now the lumberyard, O&N lumberyard. And we added scenery all the way down the length of Strum and have been operating Strum, and it works out nicely. We have the pickle salting station here with a large stockyard at the end of that spur, and on this spur track here we have a city service and a Sinclair dealer. So that is again about 14 feet down, and again, as I mentioned, storage underneath the layout was a necessity. And the best part of this area here is we added that dog bed last year, and Kylie is my operating partner and builder down here and loves to come and snooze while I'm working. Okay, right here at the end of Strum, there's going to be a view block. This is going to be the last, this last 4 feet, 5 feet wide or so by 2 feet. It's going to be the last part that gets done in the layout, most likely. So for now, to get the idea of a view block here, let me show you what I'm doing. So I just set this piece of gator board here, and this is going to be going up a hill here, going away from us. It'll be elevating up a hill with tall trees. So while you're here looking in the direction of the camera, we'll have a semi block so you're not seeing the unfinished basement behind it. And when you're looking this way, there'll be a hill and trees, so you're not looking at Strum directly down the end of the peninsula. This is a unused right now flat area, and any of you people with layouts know that a flat area never stays empty for long. So you set one thing down, you set 50 things down. So this is kind of my paint, stain, scenery, weathering, just all kinds of stuff. I'll have to find a place for that. All right, back at the map, this is where we were standing, and this is it's 50 some inches wide, I believe, and 2 feet where that board is now, that gator board. But as you can see, I was going to put in a trestle on each side with the Buffalo River, also known as the Beef River, coming through here. But I haven't done that. I'm thinking I'm gonna have a trestle along here, and the river is gonna start right when you walk in, and it's gonna come in back into that view block and just disappear around a bend as one possibility. The other possibility is the town of Oliva here. There's a possibility that it may go away, and I may go from 4 towns to 3 towns. I haven't decided yet. And if I do that, I would run the river right down and have 14 feet of negative space to be able to run a train without curves. We'll see how that works out. All right, so here's the top of the peninsula end. And this is where I talked about the trestle right here. So we'll cut this out here and build a trestle. We moved the workbench last year from underneath Osseo to underneath the peninsula. So you can see I'm doing some weathering down here now. I'm new at weathering, so I'm trying some oil paint weathering. but that's the workbench where I spend my time. And then we come around and we're unscenic through Eliva all the way to the end. So we have 14 feet of town that I have not yet built. So this is Eliva, and it's just a main line and one passing siding. There's a pickle station, a stockyard, there's a lumber yard, a depot, and a small co-op. So any operations is all on the same siding. And then the main line and road is going to come down right along the fascia, so I could have a place for some billboards and vehicles. So I haven't done any of this yet, and I'm still thinking about it, and I don't want to start scenicking it until I decide what I'm going to do. Again, this could be negative space with just the main line coming through and meeting up here in the corner, with the river coming through here and on the outside. Haven't decided yet if I want to do that. There would be nothing but green space, trees, hills, rural Wisconsin for 14 feet. So I'm considering that. So let's go take a look at that right now. Okay, so come around the curve at the end of the peninsula. There's one turnout on this side of Eliva and one on the other side. And there's just the main line coming through plus a passing track. So we'd have the equity sitting somewhere here, and we'd have a lumber yard sitting somewhere here, a depot here, and then over here we'd have the stockyard and the pickle station on that spur there. Originally there was no spur coming out at the end, but because of the length and the curvature and operating efficiency, I added that there, but none of this is wired up. It's just sitting here. Now that's a good point to bring up. One of the things that we did is the whole other side of the peninsula here at Strum is feeder wires. So Osseo and Strum have completed the wiring from feeders to bus, and Mondovi, which is right behind me, also has its feeders. I have not dropped feeders in Eliva because we're not sure what we're doing here yet, and I haven't dropped feeders in the staging yard yet as well. So here's the end of Eliva. Come around here with the other turnout, and it's going to curve around into Mondovi. All right, so coming out of Eliva, this curvature is kind of not correct. It's more straight on and a rounded curve. So we have a curve here, and in this area here, I'm putting in a motel and a little fishing pond. And this empty corner here, I decided to take the main street of Mondovi, which would have been over here behind my wall in the front yard, and move it around and put in some buildings here for a main street, and then into Mondovi. And Mondovi was the first section that was built when we first started the layout. There was nothing but 16 feet down this wall, 2 feet wide, and that was the entire layout when I started. And what started this was operating Mondovi. I needed staging, so I built staging down this wall here, and then I thought, well, I need Osseo, so I put that here. I needed staging for Osseo, so I built this, and the peninsula added enough room for more operational interest. Let's go take a look at the end up here into Mondovi. All right, coming out of Eliva, curving into Mondovi, just starting this scene now. My parents owned a motel and a fishing resort in northern Wisconsin. It was called the Grandview Lodge and Motel. So I took the Walthers motor in and used that as a stand-in. So we have the motel area here. There'll be a road coming over here and up the side of the hill with a parking lot here. Although my parents lived on a chain of lakes, due to space, they now have a fishing pond. And we'll work on that here. I just added the fast mash around this whole piece of foam yesterday, so it's still drying. You can see the color difference here. This is wet, this is dry. And we have my mother sitting on a pier fishing, and that's what's kind of made me decide to add her to the layout, because she really loved the pictures I would send her the layout, and she passed away a year ago this month, so she did not get to see this yet. All right, so we're gonna have a lake here, and I think this is small enough that I can paint it up and use the GAC 500 to put a thin layer over here so it looks like water. Now, back to Oliva. The road was supposed to come up along the fascia here, hook up here, and cross over the tracks there and head into Mondovi. And speaking of Mondovi, this is that Main Street scene that I'm working on. It needs some more detailing, but it's pretty good for now. I have more of these shrubs on order, and I'm gonna continue those around here, and then we will ballast everything. This road here is golden molding paste with crackle paste, and then stained with air paint, and that will continue the same way over the here. It's balsa wood, and the balsa wood has a nice layer of varathane, and then the top of the balsa will be the molding paste, and then on top of the molding paste will come the crackle paste. And I started ballasting to here, and we'll continue that on this side and go all the way around. So that's Mondovi, the town proper, which should be behind the backdrop, but there it is. And here is the Beef River Norwegian Lutheran Church, and that scene was there, but it's been changed a bit, and we added the fence around here and some woodland scenics, you know, swing set, tetherball. Once my super trees get here that are on order, and apparently the entire Scenic Express order for this month is sitting somewhere in a container that the federal government won't release. So if you're waiting for stuff from Scenic Express, that's why. And so not a lot of changes in Mondovi. Once I get all this back done, we can come back to the front here and complete the scene for the Fund Brothers sawmill. There's a lot in here. There's gonna be logs, log loading, cranes. The sawmill is in here. These are all log piles that I made from twigs from my neighborhood, and they were made into railroad ties, loaded in gondolas, and shipped off to be creosoted. All right, so not a lot of change in Mondovi. Like I said, it was the original finish section. So a lot of good operation going on here. You got the pickle salting station. Oh yeah, you can see in the background pickle barrels. Mini Prince made me a couple of hundred pickle barrels, and I'm working on staining those, staining, and getting those out, because I found a 1920s photo, which, although it's before my era here in the 50s, behind the pickle station, they had barrels piled up, and I would need another 500 to match the picture, but for now that's good. And then we have a loading here where they would load bags of sacrete and lime. Stockyard. The Mondovi line shipped stock on Tuesdays, all the way up to the 70s. Tuesday was stock day. And we have the Mondovi grain and feed in the background, the Cargill flour mill, and the co-op equity in the back there. And we have a Sinclair coal and oil dealer. We got some more railroad ties ready to go out. We got the large stone depot. I did redo this road in Mondovi. You can look back on my videos and see that. This was all done up with this black Woodland Scenics cinders, and I redid it with molding paste and crackle paste and stain, and I like it much better. See, it goes off into the backdrop there. And nothing but more details in this last 4 feet. We got the lumber yard, the cannery, the Land O'Lakes creamery, and the Standard Oil fuel and coal dealer. Eventually, I'm probably going to take out that Walther's backdrop, which was just something that was on a modular layout 25 years ago that I built. And I'm thinking I may replace that with an ITLA background building. It would probably look better than the plasticky Walther's, but it's not bad for now. Well, that's where we are for 2025 on the Mondovi line. So the Mondovi line was a 37-mile branch line that started in Fairchild, Wisconsin and ended in Mondovi. So that's what we have going here. We follow this way and it ends here. There used to be a turntable. They took it out in '57 since they don't need steam. There used to be a water tower next to the depot, which they also took out in the 50s. And there was one in Osseo they took out in the 50s as well. There's no need for it. There's no why. There's nowhere to turn the engines around. They dieselized the line in 1954 using 1280 and 1281, which were the main diesel locomotives that they used on the line. They were SW 600s, very underpowered, great for a elevator or a specific industry, but they couldn't use them anywhere else in the system, so the Northwestern used them on the Mondovi line and later around the Eau Claire area. Now I have pictures of GP7s on the line. So we have a couple of GP7s, maybe 3 there, and occasionally I run a GP9 for fun. And because I love Alcos, and even if they didn't run any Alcos on this line, I have an RS1 and recently just purchased the Bowser RS3 165 and 166, which are my favorite locomotives. So I run those a lot on the layout. So thanks for coming by. Please feel free to subscribe. That'd be great. Hit the like button. Leave a comment if you would. That would be great as well. And we will not run any trains today. I think this video is probably long enough. So I will make another video next doing some more operations. So thanks a lot. Have a great holiday, great Christmas, great New Year's, and we'll talk later.